Good evening. We are here back at Pepe's Bar. Tonight is Melissa Eaden with us. Mel, welcome. How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm doing really good. I'm on vacation right now, so feeling light and easy, which is great. No stress, which is also great. Like that's what you want when you're on vacation and hanging out and not doing a whole lot.
How long are you going to be on vacation?
About like 2 weeks total.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
nice,
Yeah. Yeah,
nice.
doing some traveling, visiting family, and then visiting some friends in Japan, and so that's real exciting. It'll be the first time I've ever been there, so I'm looking forward to
Okay,
it.
okay. So, do you eat fish?
Yes, yeah,
So it's going to be great. So
yeah,
it's that's the place. That's the place, really. I was
yeah.
there many years ago, and I almost eat everything. So there's few things that I don't eat. Okay, even from the sea, I almost eat everything. Not everything, but almost everything. And
Almost everything.
yeah, yeah. So for example, I don't know how to call this in English, but there are the how do you call the dry eggs from the fish? This when
Caviar,
you no, no, caviar is when it's fresh,
fresh.
and then
Oh,
when it's
dry.
when it's like a paste, like a
Right.
paste. I don't
Hmm.
know how and well, this, if you do it for me, I will eat it. That's fine, but I will never ask for that.
Right.
So, and I think that is the only thing that I don't eat from the sea. And the other thing that I don't eat from the sea, how do we call this? Like cucumbers from the sea.
Oh, sea cucumbers. Yeah,
Sea cucumbers. So
yeah.
I don't know. I have an entry problem there, but
Yeah, I get that. They're when they're out of the water, they're really slimy. I don't know. I don't even know how you would prepare something like that. So,
I don't know either. But this sort of thing. But I remember when I was once in Tokyo,
mhm.
we were with some colleagues, and we were on a boat outside in the water, and they have a big sushi and fish things for us.
Uh-huh.
So it was a business meeting, and I saw one of the sushis that were prepared was with sea eagle,
Okay.
and this is always raw. It's raw. And
Hmm.
I saw that and I said, it must be that. So I took it, and this has a special taste. Okay, I'm coming from the sea. I'm coming from the Canary Islands, so I eat that.
Right.
I took it in my mouth and said, very nice. And there was a colleague from UK, Jeff, and I know that for them it's going to be difficult. I said, Jeff, you have to try that. This is so amazing, so good. And he took this in the mouth, and I could see his face, because as English person, you cannot say, "Oh, what the hell," and just put it away. So he ate it. It was
Right.
nice. Enjoy your time in Tokyo. It's a very
I
nice city. Nice
I
city.
will. I'm looking forward to it. I've actually been pretty adventurous where like sushi is concerned. I've had sea urchin, eel, octopus, squid. Um I think the only fish that I wasn't really partial to is yellow tuna because there's a fatty tuna, there's like a white fatty tuna and there's a yellow fatty tuna, and I think the yellow is too much for me, but
Yeah,
I'll
I
still
will.
eat it. Like I mean, yeah, it's just
I
not
mean,
on my top of my list.
the main problem with me is that I cannot stop eating. That's
Oh.
the big problem with me. When I go out, and we were a few days ago in Italy, and I
Hmm.
promise me every day I will not eat that much. So I will take care. I will not eat that much. So we went out, and then I ate, of course, my
Hmm.
food. And then I was with my kids, and my kids asked for something, and I said, we cannot let that here. This is so nice. It's so tasty. So come on here. So I also ate their plates. So
it's it's Italy though. I mean, what are you
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
do,
yeah.
right?
That's yeah. The same happens with Spain. So it's. I mean, the same happens everywhere. I mean, if
Yeah.
I go there, the food is tasty, then I'm lost.
Yeah, I love Spain. So I've actually traveled quite a bit. I don't That's maybe not something that everybody knows. Mostly because sometimes for work, sometimes for conferences, and sometimes just for myself. I've actually been to Spain 3 times, and once was for a conference. It was for European Testing Conference, ETC, and that was
In
Valencia.
Valencia, right? In
Yeah,
Valencia.
yeah, yeah. And I got hooked. So I've been to Barcelona and Madrid since, and it's great. I love the culture, the food. Barcelona, I was there. I was in Madrid during the summer, like during May, so it was kind of like being in Texas, about the same. And then Barcelona, I went the week of Thanksgiving. It's like the last week of November here in the States, and it was amazing because all the Christmas markets were starting to open. People were having Christmas parties. They have, just for people that do or do not know, if you've never been to Spain, their Christmas starts like the last part of November, first part of December, and goes all the way to January, and they celebrate the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from the Canary Island, and
Oh, right.
the people wonder always about Carnival or the costumes party at the conference. In the Canary Island, and normally the Carnival, if it really takes in all the countries a few days, 1 week, yeah,
Yeah.
10 days, 2 weeks maybe. In Gran Canaria, I'm from Gran Canaria. Gran Canaria has the normal in the city, in the capital, in Las Palmas. So you will have 2 weeks of carnival,
Uh-huh.
and then this move all around all the villages in the island. So
Oh,
you are
wow.
going to have around 2 months of party. And the thing is, when you are there, almost every man dresses a woman, and many of them go in the morning to work dressed because they didn't have time to take a shower or whatever. So this is a very
Oh, that's
crazy 2 weeks. It's a very crazy 2 weeks, and that's has nothing to do with other carnival in other part of the work of the world. This is amazing. So, but back to Spain, I want to tell you something. If
yes.
I don't know. So I have a meeting in the beginning of May
Uh-huh.
in Spain, and I may organize a conference for free, so people can attend for free. So for friend of mine. So if I don't know if it happens, but if it happens, I will try to get all my friends there, so I count you in. So and so that I can take you out in the evening for a dinner.
I That would be amazing, Pepe. That would be absolutely amazing. I try to make up an excuse every year to go to Spain. Like the next place, I'm not even kidding. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go do this, or I'm gonna go do that. Like, and so the Canary Islands were next on my list. So you've already given me another excuse,
Okay.
and now you've given me two excuses at least to go to Spain. Like, so I
I,
am.
I don't have the flat anymore because I sold it at the beginning of the year because my mother died. And
Oh,
but Janet Gregory were there for a few weeks in my home in Spain. So,
oh, that's awesome.
but I don't have any more. So I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I've made do. Yeah. um, but yeah, no, I love the food, the people, everything. Every time I've gone, it's been an amazing experience, and I've just, if it my dream state eventually, and those that know me well know that um I'd like to live overseas for a little while, and Spain is like the top of my list. So
So
yeah.
I will, if we are in Madrid, Barcelona, or in Malaga, whatever we are. So I've been there many times, and so Go with me. Go out with me. You will see. It's going to
That's
be going to be fun. Going to be
I
fun.
will take you
So
up on that for sure.
back to you and to me. Do you know where we met the first time?
Uh, that's a good question. Was it? I want to say officially it was in Berlin, but I'm not entirely sure because
I
or was
think
it
so.
Agile or was it because I'm trying to think if I did
I think I
ATV
think
US. Oh no,
I
it was
think
US first, right? Boston,
yeah, it was in Chicago,
Chicago.
and I think 2000 20, 19, 20, or 21, something like that. 19, 19, I think 19. I don't.
Yeah.
I think. And I remember that you were in the lobby sitting with Elisa Crispin, Janet Gregory, and I
Okay.
thought that you were speaking because we never met before, but I knew you.
Yeah.
I knew you, and I was there. Say hi, and I was because I so that's the moment when you know that I don't know everything about my conference. So I thought that you are speaking there. So and you told me no, I'm not speaking. I just came to say hi to the people, and I said
That's
no, you
oh,
can.
that's right.
And I said,
Yeah,
yeah. And I said, hey, you can stay here, so no worries. So you can stay, visit the conference, and so on. And you need to come here and speak. And so
I remember that.
you came the last year or the year after to talk to the conference. So they were very
Yes.
happy.
Yeah.
And I invite you. I mean, one of the reasons to invite you to talk to me or that you are in the Pepe's bar tonight is
Uh-huh.
about the keynote that you did in US. That I was
Yeah.
there. That oh my God, because there's many things that are parallel to my life. Few things, of course, no?
Yeah.
And I say, wow, that's because at some points I could feel a lot of things. Okay, and I said,
Yeah.
okay, we need to talk about that. And normally in the conference I don't have time because even if I say I do not work anymore, but I'm always working. Janet
Sure.
is always laughing when I said I don't work, and because she knows me a little bit better. And but it's really, really like that. So
Yeah. Well, she would know. She doesn't stop working either. So
yeah, yeah, I know. She, I mean, and I mean, I like to work with women
yeah.
because I think this is nice, and I like to be. The second one, so I need a person to lead, so this and when it's a woman, that's fine, I work for them and so on. I've been working with Diana with the Agile Testing Fellowship for many years, and
Yeah.
I'm happy that she was the lead, and I learned a lot from her, I have to say that. But let's go back to you. So um, first of all, there is, even if I know you and there are many people who knows you, could you tell me who you are so that the people knows you a little bit first?
Um. Yeah. So I how where to start? I guess I general. I grew up in Kansas, so and my family's in Kansas, so that's the middle of the United States. So Midwest. Um, I was, pretty average student. I was in marching band for 3 years. I played two instruments, baritone, like a brass instrument. I played a baritone for marching band, and then for concert band, I played a bassoon. Um, and then I was in choir for the 3 years too. So my my training mostly like I assumed my family was into a lot of music, um and so I kind of assumed I was going to do the same thing or get into media somehow, and I did the media part. I didn't do the music part, which was a little weird. But once you get to college, like, things sort of drift in different directions. So I got to college. Well, actually, let me back up a bit. I actually thought I was going to do like music and science research. So when I originally went to college, I was a biochem major, a double major in biology and chemistry. and that didn't work out. I was not very good. I found out very quickly I'm not very good at calculus, which is,
Oh,
yeah. I don't know why. I don't if you put calculus in physics for me, if I'm studying physics, I understand calculus and in a like, so I could do calculations around black holes and gravimetric waves and all of that stuff. But if you give me like basic plain calculus, I don't get it. So my physics teacher was flummoxed by it too. He's like, I don't understand how you're not doing well in calculus. You're doing well in my classes, and it's the same thing. And I'm like, but it's not. My brain just couldn't put the two together. So yeah, so I have I eventually graduated from college with a degree in communications and a minor in anthropology and a minor in physics. So because I had done enough classes to get a minor. So yeah, it was weird. And I some days I use a lot of that knowledge that I learned. It doesn't, sometimes it's a little fuzzy because I remember certain things and I'm like, is that right still or is it not? Because science changes pretty quickly. It's kind of like tech. It's a little bit slower than tech, but it still changes pretty quickly. Because we're always discovering new things, which is the
yeah,
same with tech. So I think that's how I got into tech too. I grew up with computers kind of accidentally. Like I in middle school, they had a choice between typing classes and computer classes, and I took computer classes, and I was the only girl in the computer class.
yeah,
Yeah, and we were programming on Apple IIe's, and I was learning BASIC, and I was having fun with it. And the teacher wasn't really super strict about it. It was more about learning how to use the computer. And then when I got to high school, I lived in the computer lab at high school. I'd help teachers with computer problems, um, not really knowing what I like, knowing intrinsically what I was doing, but not really like understanding. Oh, I'm fixing these things, and somebody gets paid a lot of money to do this kind of stuff because I had used computers and I knew what they did and would like, oh, I've seen that problem before. Here, you just press these keys and it goes away, or whatever. Um, I was using command line prompts, as young as 15 to start programming. My mom was an early adopter. We got our first PC from Radio Shack, and it was a Tandy SL 1000. This is before hard drives were even standard in computers. So you had to save everything to those really big floppy disks.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then eventually the smaller, harder floppies. So before flash drives, before mouse, that were available. The mice were available for Apple, but PCs didn't have them at the time. Um, there's just so many things. Like color is an amazing thing in computers. Like people, I don't know that the generations younger sometimes don't understand how fast the technology has moved because 88 there were no color computers in like they were barely existing. It was kind of a new thing to have like a green screen. It was, or you can pick orange maybe depending on your monitor. They were huge, they were clunky, you couldn't move them around. um Sometimes they didn't have hard drives. So it always amazes me how far we've come when I stop to look at that stuff and go, oh my gosh, I'm carrying around the equivalent of 10 computers in my phone of what I had when I grew up. Like it's just, it's so amazing. It's anyway.
yeah. I, I,
um
I, I
yeah.
so I remember. So I was the first student who got a PC at the university.
Oh
So
wow.
one time back. So you can remember. So
It,
and I had Raul Werner, a colleague of mine, a friend of mine, was on Saturday or Saturday, Sunday for dinner at home
mhm,
here. And we were talking, and I told him that I learned to program in assembly.
mhm.
And one of the things that I did, I think the second year, was to write the driver for a mice. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is 100 years ago. And I said, yeah, and I learned Fortran, and I learned here COBOL, and we have calculus, and calculus we need to use Fortran
Right.
to calculate all the things. And I learned, for example, in AI, I need to or I start to programming with Lisp. It's 100 years ago. So it's but I also started programming basic when I was 18. And I
Oh,
remember, so I was young, and I remember I did the training on basic, I could work and so on. And someone wrote a program for when you lease videos for a videotheque, so it's a video thing. And then he wrote a
oh, that's
program for
cool.
basic,
Okay.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
said, okay, that's fine, but for what else? So because I couldn't see for what you could use programming, so it was for
Yeah.
myself. So it was so it's more than okay. I know how it works, so it's logic. I could do that, but for what? So this was yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, I think I learned I was around DOS more than I was basic, so I ended up picking that up more. But my brother and I used to my mom, so we had a couple of different computers. We had the Tandy, and then we had later on my mom tried to go back to school for engineering, and that didn't quite work out, but we got really cool toys out of it. One of them was a Texas Instrument keyboard that was programmable, and you plugged it into the TV, and you wrote however many lines of code out of this book, and you could play games with the computer. And usually the computer would set it up so that you'd always lose. But but a lot of the games were 1 to 2 player, and you could either play with a computer or you could play with another player. We played stuff like Hangman and marbles, and so you take, and the marble game was really interesting. So you knew you programmed it right, because there was never a solution where you won, because you had to take 1, 2, or 3 marbles, and then the computer would take because it always knew how many marbles to take so that you would end up losing, because it was calculating how many marbles were left. And as kids, you didn't do math on the fly. I couldn't do math on the fly like that. So, but it was always fun to like see how many programs we can do. The only thing was is that it was all on a RAM chip. So if you unplugged it or shut the program off, it was gone. You had to type it back in again. So it was a lot of good practice of just like typing programs and trying to get them right, because you knew it was wrong immediately if it started looping or doing something weird and didn't actually give you the correct prompt when it should have. So I was already, so funny enough, I was already like QAing things without knowing it. When I was a kid, because we were constantly trying, we were typing code and then trying to figure out how we messed it up, and then having to start over. Um, but yeah, so I got into computers, but I didn't really think I was into computers. Um, and then graduated college with a communications degree, and that here is more focused on like mass media, radio, television, newspaper, and did that for 10 years. I worked at 2 TV stations, 6 radio stations. It was a cluster. The TV stations were separate, but the radio stations were all owned by Cumulus Radio. And then so they would just bounce me between the stations, and I'd work on AM station one day and an FM station another day. It was kind of cool like that. And then I worked for a local newspaper for a while and wrote stories, like business stories about local businesses and things. And I did that for like 8 or 9 years. Finished up the degree and was like, "What's next? Where are things going?" I was I was in a car wreck at 22 that kind of changed the direction of my life. Um, which put a big pause on things, because when you're in a pretty intense situation, and I lost my brother in that car wreck, it impacts your life a lot more than you think it's going to.
yeah,
So I mean, we were both pretty young. It wasn't anything tragic. Like nobody was doing anything wrong. I think, and I don't even know because I was asleep in the car when it happened, and it was a rollover accident. So
Oh,
yeah, and we were driving back from a gaming convention. So my brother and I were really into games, and we were driving back from Salt Lake City, and he lost control of the car, and we were in a car wreck. So that kind of slowed things down for me because I had to figure out, like, it was the first time I was really confronted with mortality at
no.
22. Like it's like you kind of, some people confronted around that time because their grandparents, people with really long lives passed away. Like I've had a great grandfather passed away that I was 6 or 7, but I don't think you kind of grasp the, especially if you're not close to them. Yeah. So, and my brother and I were pretty close. We had a lot of the same interests. We read, we were both into science fiction, so we'd read books and give each other book reports on, we were doing book blogging to each other before that was a thing. It was like, oh, I read this book and it's about XYZ, and we talk over the phone. And when I was in college, he helped me, he would send me $20 so I could eat, like every now and then. It was back when $20 went a long way. And so yeah, so he, we just help each other all the time. Like when I came home and got a job, I helped him pay some of his bills and stuff, and things like that. And so we had a really good relationship,
I
and
think he is quite proud about you.
I hope
I think,
so. I hope
yeah,
so.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, wherever he is now, I hope he's proud. I Because man, we had all kinds of plans. Like he wanted to run a bakery. I was like, I'm gonna start a media business and work in commercial production, which I did at one point in time. I actually had my own business, and that lasted for 8 months. I Yeah, and it was kind of, so what happened, and this was the transition, so this is what happened. People talk about career changes. Sometimes career changes are gradual, and sometimes they're just very abrupt. um so I had been let go from the TV station, the local TV station, because I was doing commercial production for them. And basically they had explained to me that the perception was that they were slow. The perception was is that they didn't want a fat woman doing their production.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that actually got back to me. So there was some fat phobia going on. Um, Even though I was the fastest producer in town, like I could turn around a 30-second commercial in 5 days, and that's from shoot to finish, like edit, like all editing. And I did the editing myself. I would do music, animation, 3D animations. Like I knew how to run an Avid editor backwards and forwards. I was really good at it. um and and they let me go one day. They were just like, you know
But do you think this a fat phobia, or is more a phobia about you, and maybe the doesn't matter if you're fat or black or Hispanic or whatever. So you are different. You are
yeah,
different,
yeah,
and you have the power, you have the knowledge, and this is the fear because I am insecure, and I've seen many times, and I think that's the thing. Yeah, my opinion. Yeah, there's always the fear. The people has always fear because they don't know, and they look for something. It doesn't matter if you're. I said always a small Spanish guy,
yeah,
and people is. I mean, I'm from Spain, and this is a nice country. People love that. So I have another situation. But if you are from other countries, or if you are black, or if you are fat, or if you are Chinese, or you are whatever. I mean, even if you see, for example, the Asian girls,
yeah,
um, how they have to fight, because people have something in their mind that nothing to do with them. It's only in their mind, and they're so crazy, and there's a lot of fear and a lot of, uh, but we are different.
Yeah.
That's good.
I, no, and I think you're right there. I think it's probably a multifaceted combination. The thing that was said to me for sure was that it was about my size and not about the fact that I was anything else. Like that's
I
it.
mean,
It
you have
was
a lot of power. I mean, you have a lot
yeah,
of power, and I mean, your size helps you, yeah, in the way that they see you and you have power. Okay,
yeah.
that's, I think that it's,
It it's yeah. I mean, and that's and it took me and that's part of why I am so public sometimes, and some you know I it's an interesting conundrum because um I'm very proud of me. I am a confident person most of the time, but there's always those little like small cracks in the armor, right? Like that something will get in and you're just like, "Oh, maybe I don't know what I'm doing, or maybe I'm not as confident as I think I am." And then I come back around and I challenge myself that and challenge that thinking, because
where,
that's where you can get really messed up. That's where your
where,
mental health
where,
can go down.
where do you get this power from?
I think it's from how I grew up. My family, my mom was a single mom, single parent of 3 kids.
I know
Uh,
that.
yeah, so that's always hard. And then, you know, my aunt and I have a really great relationship, and she was always about, you know what, nobody else is going to do for you except for you. So do what you need to do to get where you need to be. So I always, like, if one door closed, I went and looked for another door and a window and a, like a sliding glass door, whatever the heck. It's like, I'm going to get in there whether you want me to get in there or not, because I'm going to find out whether I belong in there. And then if I don't like it, then I'll leave on my own, but you're not going to push me out. So that's always how I've been, to a certain extent. And I'm not saying that I've been always that confident all the time 100%, because I'm definitely, while I seem like an extrovert, I've had to explain to people sometimes, it's like I do seem like an extrovert, and then I'll run out of spoons. I call it my spoon, like the spoons are in the sink, they're dirty. Like I've had too many interactions and I have to take a break because my brain can't brain anymore. But I really do thrive on finding out what's next, figuring out problems, fixing things that, most people wouldn't pay attention to, or finding those gaps in situations where I could create efficiencies or dynamics where it's better for everybody, not just for myself. And those are the moments that are just like they're brilliant, right? Like you live in those moments. I live for those moments,
How,
and
how
those keep
was
me
the
going. Huh?
how was the how was the mail when you was a small child?
Oh, I think it was outgoing. I was My aunt likes to tell me I had my heart on my sleeve quite a bit. So, uh yeah. I loved everybody. Nobody trusted everybody. Um, just always, saying hi to people, and, introducing myself and my family, and just super proud of who I was. Yeah. And responsible. I was always, yes, now you got me crying. Um but I helped my family a lot. I helped my mom a lot. So, it was all about like uh making sure everybody was okay and safe. And
What is the driver in your life?
right now, I think just being as healthy mentally as I can be, and to really figure out what I want to do with the rest of the time I have left on the planet, whatever that is, and um, contribute in a meaningful way. Like, you know, there's a lot of things going on, and the United States is responsible for a lot of things. That's and I won't name specifics, but I'm pretty active in volunteering and in making graphics in uh, activism spaces around environmentalism and decolonialization, and looking for ways to not only, like, you know how the phrase think globally, act locally. I very much, I grew up in that era, and I very much believe in that phrase. So when I look around the world and see all the problems going on, I'm thinking about how can I change what's going on in my local space to better uh, resolve that problem. So, like recycling, talking to people about refurbishing technology versus and recycling technology versus throwing it out. Working with the center I'm working with now, which is the African American Youth Harvest Foundation, and it specifically works with underprivileged folks in the Austin area, in the Travis County area, and I work with their technology literacy uh, team, their IT team. So I volunteer right now with them. And that's very
Okay.
important to me because it gives back to the community.
Okay. So if you're talking about you're helping people that are underprivileged,
Yeah.
and so in the place you live when you were a child,
Hmm.
and in the situation that you had, was also that kind of underprivileged, or was okay for you? Was
No,
how
no,
was it?
I was, yeah, we were underprivileged for the most part. I talk about having a computer, but the only reason we had a computer is because my mom got a huge tax return, and managed just enough to, and my grandparents thought she was out of her mind.
Mm,
Um, but she went and bought this computer. Instead of saving it, she invested in what she thought was the future versus like putting it in a bank, which could have helped us too. But money sitting in a bank doesn't teach your kids necessarily. So and actually it helped her because it growing up at a time when computers are being adopted, it's very similar to what I'm seeing now and probably what you're seeing now with AI and how it's being adopted and how it's shifting conversations,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
nearly parallel. Well, my mother in nursing, she's a nurse, same thing. Like, she was ahead of the curve. She thought computers, you would need to know computers, you need to understand them to be able to even maintain your job. And she later in life, she taught herself how to use a computer, taught herself as much as she could do, and then um, worked for the VA for almost 20 years. And she was one of several people that would train other nurses on the computer systems.
yeah. I
And
mean,
that's how she kept her job.
mm,
Because other people quit, retired because they didn't want to use computers. And so I
yeah,
feel like, it's a very similar thing. Anyway, so my mom always thought ahead. And I definitely, I think, inherited that from her. Always thinking ahead, thinking about problems, thinking about how things look. And, you know, I may have grown up in a trailer park. I may have grown up in a trailer, but I always knew I wanted to go to Australia. I've done that.
yeah,
I always knew I wanted to travel. I've done that. So I think, I always knew I was going to get out of the situation I was in somehow. I didn't know how. Uh, but I think that's the point. And I think tech did that for me. And that's why I'm volunteering, because it brings it full circle. Because I think technology really enables people to build a better life and get out of
yes,
poverty.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's just always amazing how parents, um, the most of them, of course, not all
Yeah.
of them, some other kind of parents, but they look always to get the best for the kids. And I sent few days ago, I sent my son Luca. He's studying in Spain. I sent him something, I think a reel from Instagram, where
Hmm.
someone says, the only man who wants you as a man better than him is your father, because all
Oh.
of the other ones don't want you to be better than them. So, and that's true. I mean, not only for my son, even for my colleagues, I want them to be better than me, because I'm done. I mean, I'm done in the sense that I have my constraints, and I
Hmm.
see people having um, um, the most of the people have a lot of knowledge, or how do you, I don't know how do you say that in English. So they are able to do things, but sometimes they are so young that they don't see that, and they need
Yeah.
to get pushed. And I love to do that, even with speakers. I mean, hi Alex. So so that I see the people and I see, okay, they need to go this way, and how can I push them? Of course, Alex says thank you to me, and I said no, no, thank you to me, because you have done the work. So I have nothing. There's nothing of my work, but I think this is important to help people to go in this direction. There's many people like Sophie and other girls, women that
Hmm.
I like to help, also men, but I prefer to help women because they have a little bit difficult in life. Men are
Yeah.
easier normally, yeah, especially
Yeah.
if you are blonde. This is easier. So.
Hmm.
And and I think it's important. So, do you have a mentor, someone next to your aunt? Do you have someone who's helping you, or helping you to move forward?
That's a really good question. Right now, well, when I was working at Unity, I really do feel like my mentor was Alan Page. We talked a lot. And I still appreciate like every bit of information he has ever given me about how to manage and building influence and working in a high level corporate space. Like he really did teach me quite a bit about that. um, and he took a chance on me, being putting me in a QA leadership position and building up my skill set. So yeah, Alan is a big. I was trying to give him a break because we did work together for almost 5 years. So like like that's a lot. um but Lisa
You
and
work at
Janet.
Microsoft?
No, we worked at Unity together.
Okay.
So he came from Microsoft and I came from ThoughtWorks into
Okay.
Unity. So yeah. Um Abby Basinger, she and I talk a lot. And that's more peer than mentorship, but still, um, you know, I don't, this is so confusing sometimes because I think the group of folks that are really like we're kind of peer mentors, like we talk to each other, like talk out our problems with each other, and then mentors, there's kind of like overlaps there. Martin and I talked about this a while back, and somebody else brought up that talk. So Martin Henney and I, um, let's see, but Abby and Alex and Elizabeth, um, and Lisa got me into ATD USA, and we did our first workshop. I did my first workshop ever with her. So
Yeah.
and then went from there. So
I have to tell you, Lisa, I think everybody needs to build something for her, because she have done so much for the
yes.
community, for the people, and she has a lot of knowledge, and I don't know how to express that in English, but she is not, she doesn't care. I mean, she cares about the people, but she doesn't care if you have no idea or less idea. She helps you to go up. So she
Yes.
will she will go and do with you a talk or workshop just to help you.
Hmm.
And I talked to her, and she said, yeah, because I always learning on that, and she's so amazing. And I think we need to build I don't know, a sculpture of her the queen of the community, because she's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, she I think I see her, and I talk to her occasionally online. But she's always pairing with somebody new, and always
Yes, yes,
pairing,
yes.
and helping. And it's in Janet is a very similar situation. Well, they both are, because they're also mentoring people and how to run business and consulting and stuff like that too. Um, I was down at testing UA with Janet. It was supposed to be with Lisa too, but she broke her leg. That was the year she broke her leg. And this was like right before COVID, and it was so amazing. Like that whole and Claudia, I talk with her occasionally, and I just have such a big circle of peers and friends, and kind of like we mentor each other, I to be able to ask questions. But I do not, to your point, I do not have a someone I see as like the person I go to for questions right now. Like I've had that in the past, but I'm in an in between spot, I think, at the moment, which is okay. Because I'm still trying to figure out what questions I want answered, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because
Well, there's yeah, there. I think there is two levels of things. I mean, one of the thing is related to the business part,
yeah,
that there are many people that you can talk to, and there are things related to your heart and to your mind and to your
yeah,
health and so on. And sometimes you need someone to talk, your mother or a friend or your wife or your husband or your dog, whatever. So I think, and but I don't, I have many people to talk to.
hmm,
And I think when I was younger, I would not say I had a mentor, but I have many people that I could talk to.
yeah,
And nowadays, I have very, very good friends that I can talk to, and there are
yeah,
few of them, and that's very nice. Do you have that kind of friends too?
yeah. I do. I have a lot of folks that I know if I'm just kind of mm, thinking about things. My good friend Chloe, they are also in tech, and but they do product management, PO, operations, stuff like that. Um, and so but it's amazing to me sometimes how the support structures around software development have similar experiences, even if you're doing slightly different thing. um and so we talk a lot about that, and we talk a lot about how how it's important to have diversity, and how it's important diversity of thought, and diversity of just opinions, and culture, and background, and people, and how that makes software a higher quality, right from the jump. Like, because
Yeah.
once and that's something I learned from ThoughtWorks too, because it challenged being at ThoughtWorks challenged a lot of my preconceived, like what I thought diverse was, and what I thought, um, working environments should be, and how, what's fair, and what, you know, how much you should work, so it's because there is definitely a problem in the United States of just like working yourself to death. Like capitalism has definitely driven us
I
to
mean,
bad habits.
USA,
So
USA as a working place, also a living place.
yeah.
When you are European, when you are a European citizen, um, it's difficult to understand
Yes.
because money is not all. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, and I have learned that from traveling, right?
yeah,
Like because I think and I understand the privilege I have from that, because I had to kind of leave home to understand why home was like it was, to get perspective.
Yeah.
Um, and so sometimes you have to go halfway across the world to get that perspective and then come back. Um, you know, so
That's
sometimes
life.
all you have to do is the next city over, but it depends on who you are too. So yeah, I it's it's a hard. I don't know. I'm always. I guess I'm also conscientious about the fact that I try to not put everything. I try to solve things myself before I put it on somebody else, or try to, like, if I can't figure it out, then it's worth asking the question of somebody, and
Yeah.
getting and talking it out. Um, I also believe in therapy, so I pay somebody to give me an objective opinion. um, because whether we like it or not, I do have friends in my life that will give me an objective opinion, but they're still biased. They care about me. Um, so there's those moments where you really need to know, am I screwing up, or am I on the right track? Am I, and is it just my brain eating itself, whatever. Um, so I get a balance. I take a survey sometimes depending on what the question is. But yeah, I right now I'm in that in between space, and I'm
Okay.
very lucky to be here in that in between space, because a
Yeah.
lot of people don't
But
have the privilege to just stop and kind of take a look of
yeah,
what's going on.
that's true. Yeah. What is the privilege or what is the feeling of having enough money or having a good salary that allows you to buy your own home?
Yeah.
What is the feeling of that?
Um, Different. It's scary because no one else in my immediate family's done that.
I
Um,
know.
yeah. So my mom eventually owned a house, but it was like much later in my life. I never we she owned the trailer we lived in, but that it's not the same thing. It it's having that level, and this is where I go back to, like, how tech can be so transformative in so many ways,
Yeah.
is that once you and quickly. So it's different from, I think it's a little bit, well, it's a little bit different from sports, because there are other avenues of things like sports and academics and things that you can build a career and achieve success, even if you come from an under privileged or under represented class. But I think tech, unlike sports, um, depending, tech is more accessible. I'm not necessarily gonna, I've never been an athlete. I enjoy doing outdoors things, bicycling, hiking, whatever, and going for walks. But I'm not gonna get I was never gonna get a scholarship for being on a sports team. Um, and my scholarships were academic, and I did what I could, and I wasn't like a straight A student either. I was a 3.5. I was a B plus student. You know, and for a B plus student, it coming from poverty, that's a borderline situation, because you have to be better than everybody else without money. Like, you have to, if you don't have money and you can't get the best tutors and the best private schools and whatever, um you have to have really good grades to get into a school that could actually get you somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. And so it was always like, well, am I good enough? Am I, can I get a degree, and then what degree can I get? And, like, so it
But
was
what
always,
was the driver, Mel? What was the driver? Why? because in the trailer place where you live, there were many people, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you may be the only one, or maybe a handful of people
Yeah. Yeah.
who really made it. The most of them, if they are still alive, yeah,
Yes. Yeah. True.
yeah, many are doing other kind of job. They didn't make it, and the same happens with myself. I mean, I went the first one who studied in my family, and in the place when in the place where I grew up, only I think three or four of my friends really study like myself. I studied later on in Germany. That
Mm.
many of them already die on
Yeah.
drugs, yeah, or whatever. So it's a very good deal, difficult um, thing. And coming from that and
Yeah.
going the way up, because you are going up. Okay, so you have to have a driver. You have to have some kind of power. What's your driver?
Uh, well, it wasn't the healthiest driver. I mean, I think it's survival was a big mechanism for that. And when you're constantly in survival mode, you're always looking for like the next thing and the next thing. It looks like ambition, but uh and I've had friends. Abby's even told me that I'm really ambitious and I have a lot of drive. And I think she's right to an extent. Like I was ambitious. I set big goals for myself. Heck, at 13, I wanted to be an astronaut. I had no idea how I was going to do that. Um, but that was the kind of goals that I would set for myself, and then forget like there would be roadblocks or anything in the way. Uh,
For,
yeah,
for myself, this the word ambition has a negative
yeah,
uh, cognition, and I think there's not it's nothing negative on that. It's from my own experience, I think for myself, I think I have the ability of making better. It's not about because the other one are worse or whatever. It's not
right,
about that. It's about I think that I have the capabilities, or I have the power of it's not about ambition. Of course you have some kind of ambition because you want to go forward. But
yeah,
I think in my case it's the thing that I said, okay, how far can I go? In
yeah,
my case, I don't know if you reach that point. In my case, I decided many years ago that I want to stay. I don't want to go further because the ticket that I need to pay to go
too much,
forward
yeah,
is too much for myself. I'm
yeah,
not prepared for that. I'm not
yeah,
prepared for that because at the end of the day, coming from poverty or coming in from the path you are there, you
hmm,
still have a rucksack full of stones
yes,
that you need to carry.
yeah,
And and even if you are maybe capable of being the president of the United States of America, yeah,
right,
even being able to run that, even that, at some point you said, okay, um, running that long way, I am exhausted, and
yeah,
it's okay. I am fine. I bought my house. I can go for a travel to Japan. I can go to Spain, visit friends, and have fun with Pepe, whatever, and that's good. That's okay, right?
yeah. I think the problem is that I haven't quite like I know there's certain things that are probably well places I don't want to go even like I don't really want to get into politics like I'll debate all day long but yeah, that's not something I don't do that anyway but the I think that's the I think that you hit on something um you know I talked in my keynote about this checklist this survival checklist right and getting to the end of the checklist and going yeah I should be happy this should be it I should you know and I wasn't and I think it was because again, there was a survival mechanism there, and there was an expectation, and this is what you're supposed to do. I never I think I didn't quite balance that with what I actually, well, I did and I didn't. Like, I wanted to get into tech. I liked tech. I actually, so what I'm trying to figure out right now in this sort of space, this liminal space that's in between, like, uh what I did previously and what I'm doing next, is discovering what I really want to do with my life, which sounds odd at my age and my career, like having 15, 17 something, I don't know, it's been a really long time, I've done tech for a long time. um and going, is this am I here because I like this, or am I here because I was surviving something else? And I think it's both, and it can be both, and letting myself have both is the big topic in therapy right now, like letting myself be okay with wanting something and having it. And that's really hard, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big topic,
Yeah, it is.
and
Yeah.
we can spend days talking about that. And only one question about that:
Sure.
how deep up the fears of losing?
Yeah. Big. Um then I have to remind myself that I'm a planner, and I'm a survivalist, and I have, 3 layers of fallback, like I keep, like, it's so funny because I know how fickle tech is. I've come up in this industry. I survived the '08 bubble burst. You know, and I worked through that in finance, no less. So it was I know how this happens. Like, every 10 years there's an adjustment. There's waves of things. AI is the new thing, and there's how, so there's a healthy fear, but I think, like everybody else, if you've lived through that, and you've been through a recession, you kind of plan as best as you can, and then figure it out. And thankfully, like, I'm one of those people that's kind of like, oh, this is getting serious, I need to really think about what my next steps are. How can I plan for this? How can I?
I think that I
Yeah.
think that the main thing is what we don't see, and I include myself here. I'm sorry for that, but I include myself here because I'm struggling also with all of this. I'm always struggling because I'm always I question everything. It's terrible about my life, not so. And I
Yeah.
think that when you go that far and coming from you are coming from, there is no constraints, because the thing is you will always find a way, because you are in survival mode. You are always looking for things. And I make a comparison now. By myself it's getting better, but I remember in when I was a child, I need to go to school and I had to go through the streets, and it was very difficult. Okay, because there were a lot of the guys with drugs and fights and so on. I need to fight every day in the school, to have my position. It was very difficult. So, and
Yeah.
I and when I went out when I was younger and I went out for drinks and so on, and I was in the street, I was always looking. What kind of people. So I
Yep.
check in everybody so that I understand the people and see what they are looking for, where are the problems, so that I can avoid everything. So I was looking
Yeah.
for my way, for my freedom, let's say, in that way.
Yeah.
And the same happens when in the way that I work. So I want to be successful, and I try to avoid things, and I know that I know, no, that I will always earn money. maybe sometimes less, sometimes more, but I know I'm able to do that because I'm
Yeah.
from I mean, even as a child with quite less money, it was a nice life.
Yeah.
Okay, it
Yeah,
was a
I
nice.
agree. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the thing is, now we're on that and then the way. That's why, dear Mel, enjoy the life. That's good.
I'm
And you did great. And I mean, America stuff. I know that America stuff. So,
yeah.
but you're
I
good.
mean, yeah. I always wonder about that talk cuz you practice something that vulnerable so many times thinking you will be okay on stage. I wonder how people do TED Talks and not completely break down on stage, and they'll be very vulnerable and very emotional. And I think that keynote was as vulnerable as I have ever been in front of a crowd of people. This might be the second
And
time.
so I promise you now, if I made something in Spain that had nothing to do with my company, Agile, this it has to do with the things I'm doing in Spain with Spanish board,
Yeah.
and so I will bring you to Spain. One of the things, and the other thing that we need to, I will talk to my team tomorrow. They will, they will hate me because I'm bringing ideas that okay, we do that. So I want to bring you back to Germany. I want to
Okay.
bring you back to Germany so that we have a nice time next year. So if you, so I now say officially that if Mel has time, she's officially in the Agile Testing Days next year as a keynote, right? Can we do
Thank
that?
you. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I count with you for next year. So the last two questions till we go to the end because we are already late, but this was wonderful. So,
Okay.
what is a blessing in your life?
Oh, wow. My uh my friends, my family, um the ability to even with all the chaos going on in the world and around and in my job, and I have ability to stop and breathe. That's a blessing. um I don't think I've ever had. So it's a unique point in time that everything is so chaotic that I can actually just, take a breath in a way. Um a lot of folks that do the conference different. I've met so many people doing conferences, um and some of them have, we've all, Heather's a great example. One time we were in Australia and I was there, and I was going to do Let's Test in New Zealand, but I went to the MOT conference first in Sydney. And she's like, and I was like, oh, this is a vacation. She's like, no, no, this is not a vacation. I don't know what you're thinking, you Americans thinking, you know, conference travel and going places are a vacation. I was like, you don't understand. Like, that's, if you could combine two things and still have fun, it still could be a vacation. But I think she really challenged, like so many people I've met through all of my travel. I've my ideas about how I grew up and how I perceive things, um, how I perceive the world has been challenged, and I have the chance to. I'm actually going to Japan on a legit vacation. Like, no conferences, no business, and I don't do that
I'm
very
jealous
often.
now. I'm jealous now on that. I'm jealous now on that.
So
Okay.
yeah, but I've only been able to do that the last couple of years, and it's so amazing. I think I didn't realize how I turned everything into work, regardless of what it was, um, until I stopped doing that and just let it be. And oh, I can go here and just sit in a cafe and have a coffee and people watch, and it doesn't have to be written about or photographed or anything but other than experienced. And I think I took that I took I took it for granted, and also like looked at it the wrong way, right? I didn't stop. There's a word for that, and I can't think of what the word is, but it's like stopping to smell the flowers, but not, you know, being in that no mind zen moment of just
Yeah,
enjoying where you're at in the space and time and being present,
yeah.
right? Yeah, that's been really hard for me, and I'm trying to do that more. So
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. So the last question
Last question.
before I start the other questions is, did you miss a question that you wanted?
Oh,
You
oof.
expect
Oh, a question I expected.
there's something that you want me to ask you. Let's say in that way.
Um, hmm.
Something that you want to say. If
Wow.
there's no, it's okay. There's no
No,
obligation.
I really enjoyed this conversation. I you know, I had seen a couple of these already, and I was like, I didn't wasn't sure what to expect, or what we were going to talk about, and it's been brilliant. It's been brilliant and emotional, and
I'm looking forward to meeting you in Madrid one evening with a very nice dinner and a lot of wine.
oh yeah, that'll be
So
fun.
yeah, this will be fun. So, but we are not alone. There are many of them. They are coming, all of them. And Lisa is in, and I tried to get Janet also in. Let's
Oh,
see.
good, good.
Let's see. Let's
Great.
see. I need to talk to her. So let's see. So there is some obligatory questions here to
Okay.
finish this interview,
All
and
right.
because we are in a bar, even
Right.
so, I'm drinking tonight. This is the first time I'm drinking Jägermeister tonight. So I don't know if you are drinking anything, but I'm really already the third one, so I'm fine.
No, it's been water at the moment, but I do have plans.
I have also water.
Nice, nice. Yeah, no, I do have plans to start off my journey tomorrow, probably with a Bloody Mary or a mimosa, whichever one I can get a hold of first.
Okay,
So
whatever it is, it's
right,
completely fine.
just to
So,
relax.
so your favorite drink is mimosa or Bloody Mary, right?
No, no,
What is
it's actually an old fashioned.
old fashioned? Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I'm one of those people that's the only thing I'm particular about is I like bourbon in my old fashions, but I will take any twist on an old fashioned because I've had all different kinds of old fashioned, different formulas, different uh, you know, different kinds of bitters, soaked cherries in like different alcohols. Yeah. So I'm not a purist on it, but I do tend to like if someone gives me a choice between like a rye whiskey or a bourbon, I will take a bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. So I will take care of that. So I will remember that. So
Excellent.
we are at the bar.
Yes.
What kind of song
What kind of
makes
song?
you? What kind of song make you go to the dance floor and start dancing?
Um, oh, a lot. I like pretty much I have no shame after I've had two or three drinks. Um I've even been known to do karaoke a time or two. So
So can you
um
sing? Can you sing?
yes, yes, I can.
Okay,
Um
wow. I
yeah.
can't. I am
I
the only Spanish guy who can play guitar. I cannot sing. So that's me.
well yeah, I mean, it's still that's not bad. That's not, at least it's something. I Cuz I can't play an instrument anymore, but I could still sing, which is good. I opposite. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
If you could choose who would be your favorite person to talk to at the bar, who could be? If you could choose one person in this universe, who could be?
in the universe.
Yeah.
Um, I don't, I don't know.
Your brother?
Probably. I was gonna say that, but I thought that was a little too sappy. Um, but at the same time, yeah, I think my brother. But I do have, so my brother had a really good best friend, has. He would yell at me if I said had because he doesn't like talking about him in past tense. But um I got really lucky and I still talk to my brother's best friend like he's my brother. And so
Oh,
I do have that in a way. Um and like as a matter of fact we hung out and had dinner and went to a movie last night because he's you know he reminds me so much of my brother and just has the same kind of personality mentality. They got along. They knew each other from second grade. Like they went to school together. Um and we've kind of grown up without my brother, which is it we have that connection in that way. Um but he's funny. I think even talking with him and talking with my brother would be pretty fun.
okay, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Um, is there something that you finally want to confess?
Whew. um I hate wearing tennis shoes.
Sorry?
I hate wearing tennis shoes. I absolutely hate it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So don't do it.
I love sandals.
Have
Now
that
the
for
problem is
free.
that yeah, my ankles don't like sandals, but yeah, no, I if I could go barefoot all the time, I would.
You are welcome at the Yeltas in this barefoot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Here you are. Yeah. Here you are. So it's fine. Where is the best place on earth beside Kansas
Ooh.
City, Kansas?
Mm, man, wow. I don't know. There's
Just
maybe
say from Spain.
from Spain. Yeah. Um oh man, there's so many
Where's
cuz
the place that you wish to be there? If you could choose tomorrow,
if,
say, okay, I would
if
like to be there. What could be the
I would
place?
um probably, I mean, if somebody said I won like a ticket to go anywhere in the world and I could pick to be there, I would probably go to Barcelona.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Amsterdam would be a close second. Um I think New Zealand is in that list.
Yeah.
And then
You say it's beautiful. Yeah.
yeah,
Especially the north, Coromandel Peninsula. It's beautiful.
the whole place is just I've been on
Mhm.
both sides. I've been to Auckland and Wellington and it's just amazing. And then the other probably like outside, like if I couldn't pick like a Eurocentric place, I would go to Korea, Seoul, Korea.
South Korea, Seoul. I've been there 6 times, 8 times. Amazing. The food in Korea.
I've only been to the airport. So real quick story. I
But
went
if you go to the city, go to eat, go street food and to the restaurants and enjoy this. And you need.
yes,
I would say I've never have eaten so good as in Korea, and also to star restaurants, Michelin star restaurants, amazing. So Korea for food is incredible. So
I absolutely believe you because when I was
yeah,
flying to Australia, I had a layover in Korea for 3 hours, and it was on Asian Airlines, and they fed me so well that by the time on the plane, that by the time we got to Korea, we landed in Seoul. I was in Seoul for 3 hours, and I had read about all about the airport and was like, I'm gonna go and it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna try all these foods. I was so full and so tired that I got as far as the gate for my next plane and fell asleep.
Yeah.
Because I was just, and then I was mad because I was so tired. Because I was just like,
And
I'm in
yeah,
this place.
at that moment, say hi to my partner in South Korea and Seoul, Bonil, Bonil Kwon, Bonil. So Korea is amazing. So if you have the chance, go there. So
I
my
definitely
dear,
almost.
we are at the end of this amazing chat. I uh, I love you. I have to say that
Aw.
this was an amazing talk. I'm looking forward to meeting you again personally, and to really to have some drink with you and enjoy the evening. Really,
Same.
it was very
Thank,
nice. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for accepting the invitation.
oh, thank you for inviting me, Pepe. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was very nice. Thanks so much. Okay. See you next time.
Same.
Latest next year at the Agile Testing Days as a keynote.
Yes, absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.